One of the biggest stories to come out of this game is you're playing one of the considered to be top 4 teams in the league, the Minnesota Lynx, and nobody showed up to watch the
Chicago Sky finally hit a record, just not the one they wanted. The lowest WNBA preseason ratings ever. Angel Reese, absolutely livid. Somewhere between flip the table and call the manager of sports media. What went so wrong that even tumbleweeds were skipping the game? Did the broadcast air during a solar eclipse? Did someone forget to invite the audience? Stick around, because this meltdown is messier than a group chat full of exes.
I don't want to hear ever again anyone ever tell me that there's anyone that's like Caitlin Clark in the WNBA. I don't ever want to hear it again. Nobody. There is nobody like her. I'm not glazing her. I'm telling the truth. I'm not blowing her. I'm telling the truth. She drew over 16,000 people to watch her team play the Brazilian national team at Iowa. Tickets were going for over $600 per the broadcast on the third-party market. The tickets sold out in the blink of an eye. People keep telling us there are other people in the WNBA who have made it matter. People keep telling us there are other players who are so very...
And just like that, the self-proclaimed queen of college basketball stormed into the WNBA like she was Beyoncé in heels, except the only people who showed up were the janitor, a confused Uber Eats driver, and maybe 2 grandmas who thought it was bingo night. Angel Reese, the same Angel who declared herself the second coming of primetime, stepped onto the court for her first 2 preseason games with the Chicago Sky. And boy, did the sky fall. Not just metaphorically, but economically, spiritually, and yes, audibly. Because the silence in the arena was so loud, it could have been mistaken for a meditation retreat.
Again, 5 million Instagram followers do not equate to basketball fans. It's a totally different group of people.
Here we had months of hype, endorsements, and interviews where Angel Reese practically gave herself the MVP trophy of a season that hadn't even started yet. And the result? The lowest preseason attendance in WNBA history. That's not a record, that's a cry for help. You'd think with all the noise she made in college, pointing fingers, blowing kisses, doing synchronized taunts like it was the Olympics of pettiness, she'd bring a tidal wave of fans with her. But no, what she brought was a drought of excitement, of viewers, of seats filled with actual people. At this point, the Chicago Sky should have just rented out a high school gym and called it a day. At least then, the 142 people in attendance wouldn't look like a tragic game of hide and seek. Oh, and let's talk about that attendance figure for a hot second. Imagine walking into an arena that seats 10,000 and realizing you've drawn a crowd smaller than your average family reunion. It's giving open mic night at a retirement home vibes. Meanwhile, Angel Reese is strutting around like she's the WNBA's version of Rihanna, except the only thing she's headlining is the most overhyped rookie tour. You'd think after being hyped as the biggest name to hit the league since sliced bread, the result wouldn't be the equivalent of tumbleweeds and crickets doing the wave.
You've got a basketball player, you got a celebrity that, or somebody that thinks she's a celebrity, that happens to be a basketball player. All right, but she's not celebrity enough to actually pack in the stands.
Social media, of course, had her back, at least for the first 5 minutes. There were hashtags, there were thick pieces, there were dramatic fan edits with slow-motion replays of her standing still. And then reality hit like a missed layup. Turns out, TikTok clout doesn't convert into ticket sales. Who knew? But let's not forget the Chicago Sky. Oh, poor Chicago Sky. They went shopping for a superstar and came home with an influencer. They didn't draft a basketball savior. They drafted a brand ambassador with a decent jump shot and a PhD in self-promotion. And when that brand showed up to play, the brand got benched. Oh yes, that's right. Our Queen of Chaos couldn't even crack double-digit minutes in her WNBA preseason debut. We were promised fireworks, and instead we got one of those cheap sparklers that fizzles out in 5 seconds.
The Chicago Sky went to LSU and played in a half-empty building. They not only had Angel Reese, they also had Haley Van Lith. They had 2 players from LSU, but one, largely Angel Reese, who is supposedly so unbelievably beloved.
In Game 1, Reese's stat line was less dominant powerhouse and more local YMCA participant. But fear not, she still managed to strike a pose for the cameras after a single rebound like she just discovered gravity. Confidence through the roof. Production still waiting for the tracking number. Of course, the low ratings were everybody else's fault. The media, the fans, the coaching staff, Mercury in retrograde. At this rate, the next press conference will blame the popcorn vendor for not selling enthusiasm with every bucket. Let's not pretend this wasn't predicted, though. For months, we were told Angel Reese was going to change the game. And technically, she has. Just not in the way she hoped. Because the WNBA preseason now has a new historical footnote. Most disappointing turnout featuring the loudest player. And then came the classic move, the pout. Oh, the pout heard round the sports world. Angel Reese looked like someone canceled prom. She was visibly furious, allegedly snapping at teammates, side-eyeing the coach, and probably texting her agent, "This is not what I signed up for," in all caps with 15 crying emojis.
So I think it's time to finally, end the argument. End the argument that there is any sort of other needle mover that is even remotely close to Caitlin Clark in the WNBA. And again, the reason why we've got Hailey Van Lith up is because it was Hailey Van Lith's return as well as Angel Reese's return. Angel was not the only person. They had 2 players returning. However, right now in Carver, there are no tickets left for under $200.
Meanwhile, her fans, what's left of them, are trying to spin this like a bad PR internship. She's still adjusting. It's just preseason. She's a rookie. Sure, and the Titanic was just taking a little water. At some point, you have to admit that the boat is sinking, and Angel Reese is standing on the deck holding a TikTok ring light. Let's take a step back and talk about expectations. Reese didn't just enter the WNBA quietly. No, she came in like a one-woman Super Bowl halftime show. She told the world she was ready to take over. And problem is, she forgot to pack her jump shot, her defense, and apparently her fans. This is the WNBA, honey. Not college, not social media, and definitely not a personality contest. You don't get points for sass, side eyes, or post-game Instagram posts with moody captions and luxury bags. You get points for, actual points. On the scoreboard, which currently looks more like her Wi-Fi signal, weak and barely registering.
That you would think that her return to LSU would fill the building. Not so. Not so, not so, and not so. Reality. The reality is this.
Meanwhile, the Chicago Sky fan base, small but loyal, is trying to stay optimistic. Maybe she just needs time, they say. And sure, maybe she does. Maybe she'll blossom into a superstar, or maybe she'll continue averaging more tweets per day than rebounds. Who's to say? And as the empty seats grow more familiar than her stat line, it's becoming clear. Angel Reese didn't arrive in the WNBA, she merely checked in, posted a selfie, and started looking for the exit. But oh, don't worry, she's still giving sound bites. Because if there's one thing Angel Reese knows how to do, it's give an interview. You could put her in front of a microphone in the middle of a blackout, and she'd still find a spotlight. Her media team is probably scrambling right now, trying to spin the story. Angel Reese is focused on the bigger picture. Yeah, apparently that picture doesn't involve basketball.
Now, the only reason I sort of say it that way, it's because of the comment she's making right here about how she was not used to losing games, etc., etc. And it makes you wonder if said losing, and keep in mind that when the double-double streak started, it was the beginning of the end of the Chicago Sky season.
To be fair, she is technically bringing attention to the WNBA. Unfortunately, it's the kind of attention you don't want. Like, is the WNBA okay? Kind of attention. Or, how is this happening? Attention, the kind of headlines that make you double-check your calendar to make sure it's not April Fool's. And can we take a moment to talk about the audacity? The sheer, blinding, solar-powered audacity of Angel Reese to act like this is all beneath her. Like the WNBA is lucky to have her, when in reality, she should be sending handwritten thank you notes to every poor soul who still tunes in thinking, maybe this game won't be a total disaster. Spoiler, it will be. At this rate, even her fellow rookies are tiptoeing away like, girl, we're just trying to make the team. Can you not? There's also the subtle tension brewing in the locker room. You can almost hear the collective sighs from teammates who are wondering why ESPN keeps zooming in on a bench warmer. One of them probably Googled how to tell your teammate she's not famous anymore.
I just couldn't. So this is what an actual crowd looks like. Chloe Peterson put this up. That is a sold-out arena. 14,998 people. That's all it could hold. They all showed up.
But don't worry, Reese has a plan, and it's a strategic masterpiece pulled straight from the Influencer Emergency Manual. When the scoreboard's not your friend and the critics are sharpening their pitchforks, there's only one place to turn: Instagram. First, you drop a cryptic message about elevation, vibrations, or maybe something vaguely spiritual like protecting your peace. Toss in a moody photo, maybe a silhouette at sunset or a shot of you staring thoughtfully into the abyss, or just your iced coffee. Then, once you've subtly suggested that you're above the drama and have transcended the earthly need for, playing well, it's time for phase 2, the bikini pic. Somewhere, her agent is on the phone negotiating another reality show. Basketball didn't work out, but what about fashion? Or maybe a cooking show called Reese's Pieces, where she dramatically throws salt into the pot like she does with attitude on the court.
This is more like it. This is what I expect to see when a major star returns home. Caitlin Clark returned to Iowa yesterday for the first time since she walked away from professional basketball to join the Pretenders in the WNBA dump. And this is no exaggeration. It looked like the entire state of Iowa shut down. The state of Iowa experienced something yesterday that they have never experienced before. Traffic, crowds. Thousands and thousands of people were standing outside of the arena hours before the game.
Meanwhile, her coach looks like he's aged 5 years in 5 games, trying to figure out how to coach a viral video with sneakers. Let's not forget the sponsors. Oh, the poor, hopeful sponsors who thought they were betting on the next big thing. Right now, someone at Reebok is writing a strongly worded email that begins with, "Per our last conversation," and ends with, "refund." Of course, Angel Reese will bounce back. Probably. Maybe. Eventually. She has charisma, yes. She has brand value, yes. But charisma and brand value don't translate to championships. Ask any Kardashian who ever tried to play a sport, and here's the real kicker. There are actual talented rookies quietly dominating the preseason. Women who didn't show up with entourages or ego, who didn't declare themselves royalty before proving it. But nobody's talking about them because Angel Reese is hogging the spotlight like it's her personal tanning lamp. So here we are, 2 games in, and the WNBA's big debut star is already throwing diva tantrums over empty arenas and limited minutes. It's like watching a blockbuster movie that turns out to be an infomercial with better lighting.
LSU fans, where y'all at? Angel Reese fans, where y'all at? Chicago Sky fans, where y'all at? I know people from Florida flying into Iowa to watch Caitlin Clark go up against the Brazilian national team. I know people from California flying in to Iowa to watch Caitlin Clark go up against the Brazilian national team. I wouldn't be surprised if people from Europe, South America, Africa, China are flying just to watch Caitlin Clark return to Iowa to take on the Brazilian national team. But LSU, Angel Reese, and all of those bums can't dish up a couple dollars to watch Angel Reese play. And it's pathetic because Angel Reese had a damn good game. Showed off her new Reebok shoes, looking pretty good. Picked up right where she left off, 15 points, 10 rebounds, 4 for 7. The double-double is back. The double-double.
If Angel Reese truly wants to make an impact, here's a tip. Less posing, more playing. Less tweeting, more training. Less drama, more defense. Because right now, the only thing she's dominating is the disappointment column. And even that might be too generous. Every missed rebound, every awkward turnover, and every sideline pout adds up to a highlight reel no athlete dreams of. Oh, and someone please check on the scoreboard operator. The poor guy's probably asleep at this point, jolting awake only to update her stats once every 10 minutes, if she happens to blink in the general direction of the ball. But let's not be too harsh. After all, she is making history, just not the kind she had in mind. Lowest preseason ratings ever? That's legacy, baby. Not the crown jewel of a dynasty, but hey, at least it's a record. And let's talk about all the brand deals and press conferences, because nothing screams MVP like more endorsements than field goals. It's a masterclass in prioritizing flash over fundamentals.
Angel Reese, her game is inside. Her game is inside. It's very, 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 very simple.
Still, every athlete has their growing pains, right? Maybe this season of humbling reality checks will finally ignite the fire she needs. Because in the WNBA, the only crown that matters isn't made of Instagram likes or press quotes. It's built from grit, grind, and game. Real hustle, real heart, actual highlights. Maybe then, Angel Reese will stop chasing headlines and start writing her own with what she does on the court, not off it. Until then, she's not queen of the court, just another name trying to prove she belongs in the kingdom.